I want to thank and extend a warm welcome to each of you that have joined us in person this evening. We are truly grateful for the opportunity to be together. Additionally, I want to welcome those who are watching from home. I'm thankful for the technology that allows us to connect in this very unique way. It is our sincere hope you will find encouragement during tonight's service. You will hear a special message from the Reverend Dr. Cindy Higgins from Westminster Presbyterian Church in Greensboro. You will also hear poetry and readings offered by the staff of the Thorcare Collective. We will enjoy beautiful music from pianist Melissa Burris, the First Lutheran Church Handbell Choir, and the musicians Christopher Carter and Jeremy Truall, and the talented violinist Isabella Ackberry, who is celebrating her 14th birthday today with us. Special thanks to each of you. Whether you're attending your first Light Up a Life or you've been attending for many years, we are glad you are here. It is our hope that this evening will offer you a time to reflect and a time to feel the connectedness to others who are here in this space. We are all stronger and more hopeful when we share light with others.
Good evening. Tonight I have the honor to light our candle of remembrance, which symbolizes the lives we celebrate this evening. However, this is not my honor alone. I share this privilege with a team of professionals that provide incredible care and support throughout the year to those we serve. So before I light our candle of remembrance, I would like to ask members of our team to stand. If there are members of the CNA, of the interdisciplinary team, CNAs, nurses, doctors, chaplains, social workers, and patient volunteers, please stand. Thank you. Let there be light. We light this candle in memory of those loved ones no longer with us. Those lifelong companions not beside us today, nor waiting for us at home. We remember the importance of their lives and ours, and we are keenly aware of their absence. May this light illuminate, even in a small way, a little of the darkness we feel.
Good evening. This evening I'll be sharing with you My Beautiful Broken Shell, a poem written by Carol H. Adams. Dawn has broken on a beautiful day here at the ocean. I've come to refresh my weary spirit and to refuel my tired soul. I'm so grateful for the peace and the calm of the seashore, where time stands still and unrushed, where I can see and feel the beauty all around me. This is my first morning at the ocean, and as I walk to the beach, feeling the rich, warm sand beneath my feet, I decide to collect a few seashells. It is low tide, and I watched, mesmerized as the ocean rises, slowly, curls, and then spills its white-laced foam onto the shore. I walk by a broken scallop shell and leave it to search for more perfect ones. But then I stop, go back, and pick up the broken shell. I realize that this shell is me with my broken heart. This shell is people who are hurting, people who have lost loved ones, people who are frightened or alone, people with unfulfilled dreams. This shell had to fight so hard to keep from being totally crushed by the pounding of the surf, just as I've had to do. Yet this shell is still out on the beautiful sandy shore, just as I am. I am thankful that I haven't been completely crushed by the heaviness of my heart, by the pounding of the surf. If our world were only filled with perfect shells, we would miss some of life's most important lessons along the way. We would never learn from adversity, from pain, or from sorrow. I am thankful for all that I've learned from my brokenness, for the courage it takes to live with my pain, and for the strength it takes to remain on the shore. Broken shells teach us not to look at our imperfections, but to look at their beauty, the great beauty of what is still left.
I invite you now to join me in a responsive reading of words written by Rabbi Simcha Kling, titled, We Remember Them. At the rising of the sun and at its going down, we remember them. At the opening of the buds and the rebirth of spring, we remember them. At the rustling of the leaves and the beauty of the autumn, we remember them. As long as we live, they too will live, for they are now part of us as we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have decisions that are difficult to make, we remember them. As long as we live, they too will live, for they are now a part of us when we remember them.
Good evening. I can honestly say that I'm so grateful to be here with all of you all tonight, but I have to confess that I didn't start at that place. When I got the phone call and was asked to speak, I was so glad that I had good excuses. I had a couple of meetings, and what can I say? I'm sorry, but truth be told, I didn't really want to be here where death and grief was so close, and I didn't really want to speak into that. There's been so much of that in this crazy world and in my own personal world. We've had so many deaths at Westminster Church this year, and every one was heartbreaking, and especially 2 young people, tragic and untimely. And among all of the people we lost were 2 of my closest friends, a reason we moved back to Greensboro, so we could share life with them. And as thinking of all of that, it's dawned on me that this is exactly where I need to be with you, with all of you who carry your own baggage of grief and loss as well as I do, but also who carry those sweet memories of the one you so love. I don't need to tell you that this season piques the emotions of both joy and sorrow, because frankly, you can't have one without the other. Khalil Gibran expressed it this way: when you are sorrowful, look again in your heart, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your delight. Some of you say joy is greater than sorrow, others say no, sorrow is greater. But then he says, I say they are inseparable. Together they come, and when one sits alone with you at your table, remember that the other one is asleep in your bed. Verily, you are suspended like scales between your sorrow and your joy. This season of the year, for all the wonders that it brings, it also tends to tip those scales, because there's one less chair at the dinner table, there's one less gift to be purchased. I don't know about you all, but I think we all have triggers. For me, decorating the tree is one of my triggers, and I did that this weekend. And when I hung this little crocheted snowflake on the tree, I thought of my mother-in-law. We called her grandmother, and she made that for me. And then I found these little Santas that when our parents took their 3 daughters to New York City and we skated at Rockefeller Center and we saw the Rockettes Christmas show, we bought those little ornaments. A precious friend was ones that I hung. She was in a disabling accident decades ago. But before she had that accident, she knit me this dove that is beautiful. And I hung that on the tree yesterday. I still get a lump in my throat when I do, because it's as if each ornament has a person attached to it. And delightful memories commingle with that ongoing loss. Master Eckhart, priest and philosopher, said in the 1200s that love is the root of all joy and sorrow, which is why the grief is greater when the love is stronger. Truer words have never been said, yet I'm guessing if you're like me, you are grateful that the love was and is so strong. You would not give that up for the world, even when it hurts all the more. For what you are weeping for has been your delight. Which is why I know we need times like this, like tonight, to be with others whose scales are tipping this season as well. We need each other. When my closest childhood friend lost her husband, this was years ago, when she was a widow with a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, I called her one night and just to talk to her. And she said, I can't do it. I can't do Christmas this year. And yet I've got 2 small children. I have to do Christmas. And so I caught a plane the next day, flew to New York. We decorated the tree. We cried, we laughed, we cried, and the children even set their dad's ashes under the tree because, as they said, Dad really loved Christmas. And then when I lost both my parents within weeks of each other in 2019, that treasured friend was right by my side. You see, that's what we're talking about, is being there for each other in our joy, in our sorrow, even when we cannot increase the joy or decrease the sorrow. When we are together like that, it's as if it shines that little light at the darkest times. We need each other. But it got me to thinking, what do we need from others? It's going to be as different as each of us are, I know. But I came up with a couple of things, and I don't know if you'd agree or not. But I know what you don't need, or what I don't need. You don't need platitudes. Oh, just hang in there. Things are going to get better. God has a reason for all of this. Heaven needed another angel. That one drives me crazy. These platitudes don't cut it. But yet, on the other side, to understand that they're usually born out of the other person's uncertainty or their discomfort, and they just don't know what to say. But we don't need platitudes. And the other thing I'm guessing you don't need is for people to stop talking about your loved one. You need to hear that name. You need to know, and you do know, that we keep them alive as we share the stories about them, as we reminisce. But some people, when they come to one who's grieving, they're so hesitant, afraid to mention the name of the lost for fear of stirring up an emotion. So they try to protect the grieving one from their grief. And it just doesn't work that way. I guess it's that they don't want to rock the boat or get things messy. Yet you're here because you know life is messy. Life is fragile. Things get tangled. Things get broken. They get horribly broken. In his book, Yearnings, Embracing the Sacred Messiness of Life, Rabbi Erwin Kula writes that sages throughout the ages remind us that even when things seem to be going swimmingly, I love that, things going swimmingly, there's no way that it's going to last, not even for a chapter. And then he says, not even for God. And this is what he writes. Right after the beautiful, productive first week when humankind was made in the image of God, we get the Garden of Eden story. God forms humankind from the dust of the earth, already getting things a little messy. And then there's Eden, the seemingly perfect world, the paradise where everything is provided and all seems well, until human desire and urges ruin everything. And the rest of the story, he says, unfolds in all of its sacred messiness. Even for God, life was fragile and messy. You see, I love the words of the rabbi because, the truth be told, messy emotions, the joy and the sorrow all commingled, is what we're dealing with now. But I'd like to suggest that messy emotions can give rise to wisdom, because when we let them flow, we learn more about the content of our heart, and we hold our brokenness up to the light where healing can happen. You and I need safe people who will remember with us, who will name the people we love, who will laugh with us, cry with us, who will keep the presence of our loved one alive. For when we sit with one another, or they sit with us, when we honestly face that pain openly, not trying to give easy answers or avoid emotions, when we do that, what we are basically saying is, here I am. I care about you. It's scary. I don't know what to say, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm here with you. What I'm talking about is love and vulnerability, shared love and shared vulnerability. You see, love and vulnerability can open a space within us for a place for that seed of hope to flourish and grow. So I ask you, do you have someone or some people that you can trust to catch you when you are falling? When your grief comes crashing in at the most unexpected time, which we know that does. Someone who can sit with you and be present with you. If a person comes to mind, then I encourage you to let them know the difference that they are making in your life as you journey through grief, with both its sorrow and its joy. Let them know. And if you're not sure who that person might be, then let me suggest that there are plenty of people who can listen there for you and with you, who can make space for your pain, your stories, your memories. You may need to take the risk of asking someone to do that, or of guiding them and telling them, this is what I need from you, and this is what I do not need. I don't need a cure giver, but I need a caregiver. Any one of us speaking here tonight at hospice, and you've met so many people, or the people at your place of worship or wherever, maybe work, we are here to help you. You cannot go it alone, so don't even try. And lastly, I believe that there is indeed a higher power, a God by whatever name you may use, to be there for you and with you. And I'd like to close with a story from the late Henry Nouwen. It speaks to me, and I hope that it will speak to you. He tells it in his book that's all about death and dying. It's called Our Greatest Gift, Meditations on Dying and Caring. But oddly, the story is about trapeze artists. Didn't think you'd come and hear about that tonight. Henry Nouwen was invited by some friends years ago to attend a German circus in Freiburg, and that's where he first met these performers called the Rodleys. And this is what he wrote of them. I will never forget how enraptured I became when I first saw the Rodleys move through the air, flying and catching as elegant as dancers. The next day, Nouwen returned to the circus to see them again, and he introduced himself to them as one of their greatest fans. So they invited Nouwen to attend their practice sessions. They gave him free tickets. They asked him to dinner, and then they even suggested he travel with them for a week. And he did that, and they became great friends. And then Nouwen writes this: one day I was sitting with Rodley, the leader of the troupe, talking about flying. He said, as a flyer, I must have complete trust in my catcher. The public might think that I'm the great star, but the real star is Joe, my catcher. He has to be there for me with split-second precision and grab me out of the air as I come to him in a long jump. How does it work now? And asked. The secret, Rodley said, is that the flyer does nothing and the catcher does everything. When I fly to Joe, I simply stretch out my arms and my hands and wait for him to catch me and pull me up onto the safe platform. You do nothing? And Nouwen asked, surprised. He said, nothing. The worst thing a flyer to do is try to catch the catcher. Both have the risk of breaking their wrist, because it's Joe's task to catch me. A flyer must fly and a catcher must catch, and the flyer must trust with outstretched arms that his catcher will be there for him. Nouwen concluded. When Rodley said this with so much conviction, the words of my Lord flashed through my mind. Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. He said, dying is trusting the catcher. To care for the dying is to say, don't be afraid. Remember that you're a beloved child of God. He will be there for you when you make that long jump. Don't try to grab him. He will grab you. Just stretch your arms and your hands and trust. 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 In just a moment, we will light those candles of remembrance. And I hope and pray that you will remember that you are not alone in your sorrow and in your joy, in both the ups and downs of this grieving time when those scales are tipped so many ways. But my longing for you all, my prayer is that you will trust. You will let go, open your arms, and trust the people around you who are there to catch you. They're on the journey with you. And perhaps you will trust the great catcher as well. For he will always be there for you. Amen.
Good evening. This is now the time in the service that we share the flame from our candle of remembrance. I'd like to invite our candle lighters to come forward. And for those of you watching from home, we invite you to light your candle. Let there be light. We light these candles in the hope that these small flames will bring yet more light into the hearts to replace the darkness little by little. In the midst of our sorrow, we affirm our hopes, sometimes faint but persistent, that life is good, radiant with warmth, beauty, and love. With the lighting of our single candle, we affirm life. And now that everyone's candle is lit, let us reflect on those we hold so dear. We honor our loved ones in this sacred time with our very personal thoughts and feelings. We acknowledge the bond we share because of the grief each of us are carrying. While one single candle flame, can be noticed in a darkened area, a multitude of candles joined together and light can produce something very special. Each flame distinct, yet all becoming greater as a whole. Isn't this beautiful? At this time, I invite you to raise your candle with me and say out loud the names of those you are remembering here tonight. As we hold our loved ones in our hearts, the light of their life is with ours. Each life is uniquely held, and as we share each with one another, the sharing leads to a richer wholeness and healing. May we continue to share the gift of our loved ones, a lasting light no grief can ever overshadow in darkness. You are welcome to keep your candle if you wish, but now we come to the time where we need to extinguish our candles. Allow the memory of this candlelight to be an encouragement for us all to share in the light of their lives as a legacy that will never be dimmed.
On behalf of the board and the team at AuthoriCare Collective, I want to thank you for your presence this evening. In addition to being grateful that we could gather in person, we continue to be thankful for the technology that has allowed us to reach our larger community. A video recording of tonight's service is currently available at AuthoriCare's Facebook page and will also be posted on our website. If you found our service to be comforting, feel free to listen again and to share the recording with others. For those of you who have placed a light on our hospice trees of remembrance, thank you for your thoughtful contributions. Please know you can continue to contribute and honor and remember special friends and family members with a gift throughout the month of December. I encourage you to visit one of our 2 trees and hospice trees of remembrance tonight or any evening of the month. In Greensboro, the Hospice Tree of Remembrance stands in front of the Less Center on Summit Avenue. In Burlington, you can enjoy the Hospice Tree of Remembrance located in front of AuthoriCare's hospice home on Chapel Hill Road. The circular drive leading to the home will be lined with luminaries, offering you easy access to view our tree. Our hospice trees of remembrance shine brightly because of caring community, a community of friends, family, co-workers, neighbors, of those who have chosen to honor and remember someone held dearly by one of you. May these trees, with their tiny lights, shining in the darkness, remind us of what is possible when we share our light with others. Let it remind us we are not alone. I normally don't introduce musical selections, but I learned just before the service that this next musical selection is an original piece of music written in honor of one of the First Lutheran handbell choir members who is no longer with us. The piece was created to represent her life, her death, and the freeing of her spirit.
Friends, each of us came here to this service bearing the pain of grief and of loss. But we also came carrying the treasure of the memory of those that are no longer with us. We could not share all the stories, but so strong and bright are those memories that for a few moments we let them burst forth into light. Now, as we close this service, that light still shines brightly, warmly within us. So, as we depart, let us carry that light and let it shine. For who knows, in these darkening days, we may meet someone who is struggling, and it may be that our light helps them find the hope to reignite their own. Go in peace, and may love and the memory of those you love attend your way.